All right. As we progress with the rally car vintage Safari build, this is a Nissan 370Z, of course, as you can see. And we have gone through and worked with our partners over at Broken Motorsports, who are out in the Northeast to build out the full FIA rally cage. And we got our Recaro seats in there with our Takata harnesses and all the beautiful parts, as you saw in the last video. You know, it's out here on the West Coast now, and we've taken possession of the car to finish up some little details. And one of the things that we wanted to do was, when we got the BC coilover suspension for it, the first thing we noticed is that it didn't have as much travel as we wanted it to, especially with the little 15-inch wheels. It really lowered the car down with the smaller overall radius of the wheels and tires. And so what we're doing is we're pulling the BC coilovers off, and we had some new shocks sent in, some new shock bodies that are quite a bit longer. So we have a lot more throw, a lot more travel, and a lot more ride height out of it as well. So they sent us out some fresh bodies for the front and rear, and we already got the rears in. So we picked up 3 inches of extra travel in the rear, and we're gonna pick up at least 3 inches of extra travel in the front once we get those on. So, it's pretty awesome to, have these guys working with us to be able to make these custom projects. So, like, see how much longer that body is. I mean, obviously it goes up a little bit further and everything else, but it's about 3 inches longer overall. We'll know once we pull those out and put them side by side. But yeah, it's really cool to see this thing getting those final pieces to get this thing up to snuff and ready to hit some jumps. So, because this thing is pretty straightforward as far as the overall design and power and everything else, like we showed you. But yeah, the big thing was wanted to make sure we got the suspension upgraded to the level that we want it to be. And so thanks to the guys over at BC for making that happen. This thing's gonna be sitting pretty in no time. And on the 370Z Tribute Rally car, we got it back from the wrap. It's looking super stellar, really loving it. We got the 6.4 on there, we got the Welding logos on there, but we still got some of the old classic logos, the dots and the East African Safari logo. And then we did our custom KC lights in the same fashion, the offset one on the bumper, the co-driver spotlight, and then of course the old boom tubes to represent the old classic car, the Datsun that had those 2 big, horn ducts, whatever you want to call it, with the lights going out the front end. It's just really, really cool look, really trying to get back to the classic style of that 1970 car. And then we have our little grab handles on the hatch. We got our little BRE wing replica out of the carbon built into the factory wing. And then of course all the other bits are still lined up from before that you already saw. But yeah, this thing's coming together. I'm really looking forward to surprising Nissan with this thing, and I think they're gonna love it. This is a little project that they have mentioned that they wanted to do, and I'm really pumped that we're able to team up with Broken Motorsports and make this thing come to life. So it's gonna be sick, it's gonna be awesome. This thing is quite the piece of machinery, and we're gonna take it out real soon. So it's gonna be out at the track, out in the dirt, I should say, not a track, it's gonna be out in the dirt. And we're gonna be jumping this thing around, sliding it around, and definitely having a good time with it. So we got Jimmy working on the bulkhead. It's looking pretty fancy. It's gonna be a tough one because we got those pedals shoved all the way through the firewall because my big dumb legs are too long.
It's fully bulked, dude.
Yeah, totes bulk, dude. That little paper mache project's looking pretty solid.
These gussets.
You need some paste?
Paper gussets.
And I'm working on the battery tie down. We were gonna do like a strap and a this and a that, but I was thinking, what if we just did something like, I kind of like held it down and held it in, because we're all three-sided on these three sides, but we want something that will hold it. So if I make this little insert, bolt it to the frame rail, and just kind of like press down and hold it in place, something like that. So I'm gonna make a little cardboard template here, transfer it over to some aluminum, and see if we can't get that to line up and fit good. Drill and sink 2 weld certs right there, so bolts in. See how we do. Should I cut these ABS wires off? Definitely not gonna be using them.
Alright, see your spacing, Forsberg.
Oh boy. Wow.
You got ear sizzler?
Yeah.
Looks pretty killer. I like this bullshit radius. I'm hoping that I'm able to like keep that. Yep, that's it. I'm gonna put extra weld behind it.
Just
Make sure it's right.
Yep.
I'll fix it with the grinder.
That's right.
Are you a welder or a grinder? Well,
Next up, while the guys are finishing up the tint work, keep going on the suspension, get this all dialed in. So, gonna get these little toe adjustment links bolted down to the rear knuckles, finish putting the front spindles together, and then we're gonna hang it all up on the car so that we can get our ride height, track width, and everything kind of dialed in so we can get these fenders made. Because that is the next step, and we really want to see it on the car sitting on the ground where it's going to be, so we know the exact width for these fenders. So. Now we have our BC coilovers. Time to mount these suckers up. See how they look. Oh.